the Bandwagon. You guys are awesome, man.
Hey, this is Jeff Garcia, 4-time Pro Bowl NFL quarterback, and you're listening to the Bandwagon.
In today's episode of the Bandwagon.
Okay, we're gonna try this real quick. Tua Tagovialoa. I believe is how it is.
Tagovailoa.
No.
Vailoa.
Tagovailoa.
Tua Tagovailoa. Loa.
No.
Yeah, I'm not going to get this right.
Tua Tagovailoa. No, wait. Tua Tagovailoa. Something. Tua. That's all we're going to call him.
Awesome.
He did.
Yeah, dude.
Good job.
Yeah.
Woo! Good job, Tua.
Four-time NFL Pro Bowl quarterback Jeff Garcia joins the show.
But I had no clue. What he was doing. Just like I didn't have any clue the first time he ran to the star. And spiked the ball, because I was on the sideline already talking to our coaches and high-fiving guys on the sideline after that touchdown. I had no clue what he had done in the middle of the field.
And?
Squally Canada.
Squally Canada? That's fake.
He is a BYU running back.
What? Squally Canada.
Squally Canada.
Let's get to it.
He rocks in the treetop all the day long, hopping and a bopping and a singing his song. All the little birds on Jaybird Street love to hear the robin go tweet, tweet, tweet. Rockin' Robin, tweet, tweet, rockin' Robin, tweet, tweet. Blow rockin' Robin, 'cause we really gonna rock 'em tonight.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Today is Thursday, January 11th, 2018. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's edition of the Bandwagon. Great show for you today, as 4-time Pro Bowler, former NFL quarterback Jeff Garcia joins the show to give us all analysis on the NFL and his career playing with Jerry Rice, Terrell Owens, some greats, following some greats, and his career where he played for like 11 bajillion teams. He was a 29-year-old rookie. A lot of good stuff in that interview coming up in a little bit. From the Denmark News in Denmark, just outside of Green Bay, Wisconsin, Titletown, USA, my name is Alex Strofe. You can find me on Twitter at Alex_Strofe. Joining me, as always, from the University of North Carolina Podcast Lab, my right-hand man, my partner in crime, Mr. Victor Hensley. You can find Vic on Twitter at Freezeal, F-R-E-Z-E-A-L-33, Freezeal33 on Twitter. Mr. Victor, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Okay, no, hold on. Is it even acceptable to say Happy New Year at this point?
It is 11 days in, you're right.
January 11th.
Yeah.
Like, that's a little much.
That's fair. That's a fair point.
That's a stretch.
It is our first podcast of the new year, so I think it could be fair.
That's true. Technically, to those of you outside of our worlds, to you, we could have just been like stuck in the podcast app. You know what I mean? And we just crossed into the new year. You know what I mean? Kind of like we're in a TV show, and we crossed in, and we're stuck in there.
I have no idea what you're talking
about. How are y'all doing today, ladies and gentlemen? You doing well? Because I'm doing fantastic, even though I'm making no sense today.
Yeah, cool.
Wow.
Yeah, wow is right. Hey, so Monday night, there was the CFP National Championship game. The 4th-seeded Alabama versus the, what were they, 2nd or 3rd-seeded Georgia, whatever they were. And it went to overtime. Alabama won again. Shocker. One word to describe the national championship game, Victor.
Tantalizing.
You told me we've never used your word on the show ever.
Never used this word on the show. Not in a sentence, not any time. Tantalizing. The definition of the word. To torment or tease someone with the sight or promise of something that is unobtainable. I'm going to break this down for you real quick.
I like it.
This game was tantalizing in multiple facets. You ready? So, first of all, it was tantalizing in Georgia's eyes because they were tormented with the prospect of winning multiple times. They were up 13-0. They were up 20-7. They had that sack in overtime, that amazing sack that was like a 16-yard loss for Alabama. It looked fantastic for Georgia. They couldn't pull it away. It was tantalizing for Jalen Hurts.
Ooh.
He was tormented the entire. It was so painful watching him afterwards when they won because he was so upset. Like he was trying to hold it together, but he was so mad that Tua came in and did his thing. And lastly, it was tantalizing for Bama at multiple points in the game. They had it in their hands. They had it. And Andy Pappanastos, he with that field goal kick, man. They had it, but then they ended up pulling it out anyway. Amazing second half, amazing overtime. It was tantalizing in so many different ways. I'm not disappointed.
Yeah, so my word is a word we've never used for one word. I'm sure we've used it on the show. My word is roller coaster. Now, this game was a roller coaster of emotions. It was a roller coaster of defensive and offensive slobber knockers, if you will, in the wise words of Jim Ross. It was just an incredible game, or more an incredible second half and overtime. And we'll get into why it wasn't so much an incredible first half, besides the obvious reason that we went into a 13-0 game at halftime. But this game was a roller coaster in more ways than one. And I want to talk about... You had Rodrigo Blankenship versus Andy Pappanastos. Hold on, quickly. Who has the better last name, Blankenship or Pappanastos?
Easily Pappanastos. It's what it sounds Italian, something like that. It sounds fun.
See, I disagree. I'm going to go with Blankenship. Now, if we're taking it into account, the first name is Rodrigo Blankenship is the best name in all of college football.
Nope. Mac Loudermilk might be better.
How about
we can't forget
since we're
about
talking
Mac.
special teamers, how about Wisconsin kicker Rafael Gaglione?
Oh,
yeah,
we're doing good.
Yes,
we're
doing good.
Or what if we just say Tua
Tagovialoa, or however you say his name.
Okay, hold on. We're gonna try this real quick. Tua Tagovialoa. I believe is how it is.
Tagovailoa.
No.
Vailoa.
Tagovailoa.
Tua Tagovailoa. Loa.
No.
Yeah, I'm not gonna get this right.
Tua Tagovailoa. No, wait. Tua Tagovailoa.
Something.
Tua. That's all we're gonna call him.
Awesome.
He did it. Good job.
Yeah.
Woo!
No,
job,
but seriously. So Jalen Hurts gets pulled after the first half. Tua Tungo, whatever, comes in the game, lights it up outside of that one interception at the end of the third quarter. And can we talk about the throw he made in overtime to win Alabama the game? The 41-yard throw, he threw it 39 yards. Or actually more, because he was out of the pocket. He was backwards. He probably threw that ball 50 yards.
Oh, it was insane.
He was like he threw a perfect lead pass. That was good form, Victor.
Just chucked it. It was because that's what it looked like.
It was a dot, man. It was a dot 2 yards outside of the end zone, and it was in stride. It was beautiful. Like, that is the ideal way to end a national championship game. A beautiful bomb.
It didn't. The throw wasn't beautiful though. Like, it was technically, because it was complete, it looked beautiful. But I think everyone, as soon as he launched that ball, thought it was going 10 yards out over his head. Yeah. And somehow it didn't go 10 yards over his head. He knew his receiver. He knew I don't know what happened. That was just... That was insane. And let me just say, man, Tua came in, he did his thing. Can you imagine? Tua Tagovailoa is your age.
Yeah, he's 19.
Imagine winning a national championship right now. Having to go in with no experience playing any meaningful snaps the entire year, and just getting thrown into the national championship game against one of the best defenses in the country.
His name's Tua. Hey, can you imagine Nick Saban? I guess he gathered all the quarterbacks and said, "Tua, you're going in." And imagine oh my God.
I'd be like, "Nah, coach, I'm all right. He can.
You know how hard that man prayed before he went in.
Oh,
he thanked God 100 times after the game.
Hard.
He was so thankful.
When I heard that Alabama, when I heard Nick Saban had made that coaching change, I was
this is over.
What
it's over. It's done.
In the world are you doing?
That will go down as the most legendary call ever.
Potentially. Which, when you look at Jalen Hurts' stats, they were terrible.
They were.
I think he was 3 for 8 for 21 yards in the first half, something like that. That's awful.
Yeah, and they clearly...
So they needed a spark, and they got one.
The spark plug, baby. Tua Tagovailoa or whatever, the spark plug of the NCAA.
Right there. And here's another thing. I talked about a month ago on the show. It was one of my bandwagons or something like that. I talked about early hype, preseason hype, early season football hype, especially around the Heisman Trophy winners. I've heard... Since the national championship on Monday, I've heard so many times already that Tua Tagovailoa is gonna be a top 5 Heisman candidate next year. Slow your roll just a little bit, because there's so many times in that game that yes, he threw for 3 touchdowns. Yes, he looked fantastic at sometimes, but first of all, it's one game. It's really one half and overtime, and second of all, because he won that game, we forget about the mistakes he made. We forget about the interception he threw. We forget about the terrible sack that he took right before he threw the. That was one of the worst quarterback plays I've ever seen when he took that sack. I mean, he just kept running backwards, and then all of a sudden, just instead of throwing it away, he just fell on the ground, and that was it.
Yeah.
So, slow down on the Tua Tagovailoa hype train, because he still might not be the starting quarterback in Alabama next year. There's still potential.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's gonna be a quarterback controversy, and I saw somebody quote tweeted, "There's a quarterback controversy in Alabama," and somebody quoted it and said, "It's not a controversy." Tagovailoa, for Heisman. So yeah, that was interesting. Hey, so I want to go back to a previous point I made before we jump into Jeff Garcia. I talked about the epic finish, right? I called it the ideal finish of a national championship game. Like, imagine if that game would have ended, if Pappanastos would have made there's so many fun names to say. I'm so excited. If Pappanastos would have made that, I don't remember the yardage on it, but it was that kick as time expired in the fourth quarter. Like, that would have been like, Alabama won, awesome. But when Tua Tagovailoa came in and threw a 41-yard bomb, like, that is just exciting.
I thought it would be a good, if Alabama would have made that kick, if Pappanastos would have made that kick, I thought, it still would have been a decent, second half. Not bad. They came back, they won. It was great, happy. I didn't want Alabama to win. I was pulling for Georgia the whole time. But, like, it just wouldn't have the same effect. You called me after the national championship game. You were freaking out. You didn't know what to do with yourself. It was like Ricky Bobby doing the press conference. Like, you didn't know what to do with your hands. You were just sitting here like, I don't know.
What did I keep saying?
That's what you looked like. You were just like, wow, that was insane. That was crazy. Wow, that was insane. We talked for like 30 minutes after the game, and that's all you said over and over and over and over and over. And I'm just like, dude, it was a good finish and everything. You're going to have to calm down a little bit. Just a little bit. You act like you're an Alabama fan.
I'm not, and that's the thing, man. I totally agree with the fact that Nick Saban is the GOAT, and Tua whatever, Pappanastos and Blankenship.
Loudermilk.
Raphael Gaglione for the Heisman. All right, let's jump into 4-time Pro Bowler, former NFL quarterback with the San Francisco 49ers, the Philadelphia Eagles, the Cleveland Browns, a whole lot of other places. He played for, I think I said 37 teams. Yeah, he might as well have. He was a 29-year-old rookie.
29
Played with the likes of Terrell Owens and Jerry Rice, and he did it all. So a very interesting interview. Former NFL quarterback Jeff Garcia joining the bandwagon. We are now joined by 4-time Pro Bowler, a Canadian Football League Grey Cup champion and MVP, and former NFL quarterback Jeff Garcia joining us today on the bandwagon. Jeff, thanks for joining us.
You got it, guys. Appreciate it, man.
So let's start off with what you're up to today. What's the day in the life of Jeff Garcia these days?
Yes, the day in the life. Well, it's not quite as exciting as the football life, but a lot of good things. I have 4 beautiful young kids. They're 9, 8, 7, and 6, and so it starts with getting them up out of bed in the morning and breakfast and all that stuff, and getting them off to school, and then it's really some me time. I get into the gym. I like to stay in shape and stay active, and so I stay on top of those things. And right now, with the NFL and a lot of changes going on, trying to really figure out my direction, my next step in life, and whether that'll be on the coaching side or potentially more broadcasting or commentating in the future is yet to be determined. But when I think about what I want to do, I mean, obviously playing football for a majority of my life, that being what I know, what I'm confident in, what I'm passionate about, I would really love to be able to still do something in the lines of football and find that balance. I can't just be dad every day. I can't just be waiting for my kids to get out of school and figure out what I'm going to do with them after school. So, creating that balance and creating that mentality of something that I can focus on, something that I can have goals or set goals toward and grind through. And it's been one of those things where I think as a professional athlete who hits their retirement at such a young age, I think a lot of us struggle to find that next thing in life. So That's where I'm at. Hey, family is most important. They're number one, and I'm fortunate and blessed to have a great family. But I also need to have something that drives me, that motivates me, that challenges me in ways. And that's what I'm looking for.
Right. And you bring up the potential of coaching. You did it back in 2015 as an offensive assistant with the Rams and also quarterback coach out in Montreal in 2014. So I bring up the coaching aspect because I saw on Twitter you retweeted the idea of maybe going to Oakland with Gruden as the quarterback's coach or maybe in offensive assistants again. So have you had any talks with anybody about potentially making a coaching comeback?
Yeah, there's always talk, but whether it translates into an opportunity is yet to be seen. And really, when you look at the coaching landscape throughout the NFL and throughout college, it's a relationship-based business. It's really about who you know. So many of these guys get opportunities based upon the buddy system. And, I'm fortunate to have had a pass with Jon Gruden. I'm fortunate to have had a pass with Greg Olson, who's been hired as his offensive coordinator. And so when you think about a relationship that could potentially translate into an opportunity, that would be one. Whether it happens or not, whether it comes to fruition or not, is yet to be seen, yet to be determined, but it's something that I would be open to if the opportunity did present itself. That being said, it's I'm sure chaos right now with him trying to figure out his staff and interviews and taking the steps necessary to build his staff. So, it's just really a waiting game as far as that's concerned.
And you kind of mentioned how in coaching, it's really about who you know and, the relationships you've built. And, you kind of experienced that early on in your career with the 49ers. You were able to, have Bill Walsh, of all people, who was the legendary Bill Walsh, who, kind of helped you, get back into the NFL and, start your career with the 49ers. So I just want to know, how did Bill Walsh shape your career as a whole, and what would have happened to you maybe if he hadn't have been there for you?
Yeah, I was very fortunate to have Bill, a guy who was so well-respected throughout the National Football League, but especially with the 49er organization, to be stepping back into a position where he was going to have a say as to some of the talent that was brought into that organization in that year of 1999. And how it all really transpired really happened at the collegiate level. When I was playing at San Jose State, he was coaching at Stanford. We would play Stanford every year in our pre-league games, and my senior year we had a shootout with Stanford, and it came down to the wire, and they ended up beating us. But he made some comments after that game to the media about me and how impressed he was with how I played the game, how I did some Joe Montana-like things on the field. And when I was able to see or cross paths with Bill Walsh at the East-West Shrine practices, which at the time were being held at Stanford, and the game was being played in Stanford Stadium, I was able to walk up to Bill and just thank him for the nice comment. And he made a comment to me saying, "Hey, Jeff, you're welcome. You deserve those comments. This weekend, you're going to be the MVP of this game." And it turned out that weekend I was the MVP of that game. And so I developed somewhat of a relationship with Bill. And as much as the NFL didn't translate to an opportunity for me coming out of college, I still stayed in touch with him. I would let him know how I was doing in Canada in the Canadian Football League with the Calgary Stampeders. We would connect every offseason. At one time, he tried to get me into the World Football League with the Barcelona Dragons. And due to my contract situation in Canada, in Calgary, I was unable to do that. And so we continued to talk, and after that 5th year in the Canadian Football League, after winning the Grey Cup, I had some interest from NFL teams down south, and I was going to work out for some teams, Jon Gruden and the Oakland Raiders being one of those teams. And so I worked out for the Raiders, and I worked out for Jacksonville, and I worked out for St. Louis, and I worked out for Miami. And all along this time, I'm communicating with Bill Walsh and telling him what's going on. And he said, Jeff, whatever you do, don't make a decision yet. There's a potential that I'm going to be back with the 49ers. And if I do, I want to bring you in for a workout. Well, I had a contract offer from the Miami Dolphins, who at the time still had Dan Marino as their quarterback.
Oh, wow.
And I had been notified by the 49ers that they wanted to bring me in for a workout, and this was early to mid-February. And as much as I didn't want to hold off Miami and lose out on a potential contract if one doesn't get offered to me by the 49ers, I just felt that I needed to do this workout for Bill and for myself. Mm-hmm. And I proceeded to go into San Francisco and perform and go through a workout for them. And after that workout, they were impressed enough to say, hey, we want to offer you a contract. And that's basically how it transpired. And I was able to sign with the hometown team that I grew up watching. I grew up in the Bay Area, so it was really a dream come true in a lot of ways. And I thought, from a style standpoint, from a quarterbacking standpoint, I was much more like a Steve Young than I was a Dan Marino. And I just felt like it was a better fit for me. Having a guy like Bill Walsh in my corner, I knew I was going to get a legitimate opportunity to compete and make that football team. And I was able to do that.
So, fantastic story, but I do have to ask. You were a 29-year-old rookie, Jeff. Well, like, I want to ask, kind of the feel as a rookie, 29 years old, the other rookies around you. I mean, the youngest probably being, 20, 21 years old. Did you connect with the rookies, or did you connect with more of the veterans as a rookie in the NFL?
Yeah, I think I connected more with the veterans. I think that being a 29-year-old rookie was a little bit odd,
right,
in a sense, but I really connected with everyone. And that being said, I wasn't necessarily looked at like a rookie, even from the veterans. They knew I'd been out of college for 6 years at that point, and didn't look at me as a guy that was wet behind the ears, new to the league. They respected me. They respected my abilities and my drive and my passion and leadership abilities, and took me in as a guy who had been there, done that already. And so, I was fortunate to go into a team, an organization that I think there was familiarity with me already, having been a local college star at San Jose State. And so the guys that had been with that team for a number of years, they knew something about me already.
Right. Now, I really want to know, how much did, coming in not as only as a 29-year-old rookie, but also having already won a championship in Canada, like how much did that already, I guess, how much did that help bring you to the table? Like, how much did that experience help you when you first came in just as a rookie? Because most rookies don't have the experience that you had. So, I mean, how much did that benefit you, right from the get-go?
Well, I think what benefited me was just playing at another level for 3.5 years as a starter. And then also, yes, having great success on the field, winning a championship. I think from a confidence standpoint, it put me in a position to where I wasn't afraid to compete with anyone. And I was going to challenge myself. I was going to continue to have the same approach, the work ethic that I had already established with how I studied the game, watching film, how I prepared in the weight room, on the football field, practices, my approach to just playing at a high level, my emphasis on perfection and trying to be the best that I could be every day. Those things really helped from a maturity standpoint in handling the transition. And there were times during the season after being able to start and play in a handful of games where doubt crept in as to whether I truly belonged in the National Football League. But I was able to to utilize the experience and the opportunity and grow from it and turn it around and make it a better situation in years to come.
Yeah, Jeff, and you bring in obviously the success you had, and I want to bring up the success of some of the guys that were around you. You played with two of the greatest receivers ever, hands down, and Jerry Rice and Terrell Owens. So, how straight up, just how awesome was it getting to play with two of the best to ever do it?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt, playing with a guy like Jerry Rice, who I grew up watching, and then all of a sudden get to be a teammate of his was incredible. And just to watch his work ethic, his approach to the game on a daily basis, his professionalism, he was a very humble guy in a lot of ways, very unselfish in so many ways. And granted, I also knew that Jerry was teetering on the end of his career, and there was somewhat of a changing of the guard that was taking place with the emergence of a guy like Terrell Owens, who was this big physical beast of a player on the field who learned a lot from Jerry, from the approach standpoint of how to practice and how to compete and how to have a high expectation for yourself. And so being able to play with two elite pros like those guys was a great experience and a great opportunity in San Francisco.
And do you have any stories that just stick out in your mind of, that right there is a Jerry Rice moment?
It's, gosh, to think back and just, take away the practice approach. The guy was on the field before everybody else was on the field. He would go through his route tree. He would warm up in a way that just, you could see just the work ethic and the challenging of oneself that he would put upon himself every single day. But I remember against Dallas just hitting him on a deep post, and it just reminded me of all the deep posts that Joe Montana and Steve Young and guys had thrown to him in past years, and then to be on that end of it and to hit him for a big-time touchdown on that Dallas field on that day, it just was kind of just a reminder of the awe factor and what had really translated in my life to get me to that point to where now I was the guy throwing those bombs, throwing those post routes to Jerry Rice, watching him gallop into the end zone and score with his arms out and all of that. And so, that was probably a moment where it really, it hit me in the sense of this is some cool stuff right now because I dreamt of being able to do that, and it was a dream come true.
Right, and now to the other guy, Terrell Owens, T.O., is up for the Hall of Fame again. You've come out very strongly and said absolutely he should get in. Absolutely, no doubt. So I guess kind of staying with that same sort of Rice question, he's gotten that kind of bad teammate reputation, but do you have any T.O. stories that you'd like to share where, you obviously are vouching for the fact that he should get in. So any T.O. stories you got for us?
Well, again, just taking it to the field, the guy worked his tail off, tremendously hard worker in practice sessions as well as it carrying over into game time situations. But I remember in 2003, we were playing Tampa Bay at home. Now, they had just come off of their Super Bowl title the year before, and they had pretty much handed it to us in a divisional playoff game out there in Tampa in 2002 or early 2003, as a matter of fact. And so we had a chance to play them again at home in San Francisco. And I hit Terrell on a short pass where he had broken in and then back out from the slot position, basically what amounted to a 5-yard out route. And I hit him, and I believe it was I'm drawing a blank on the linebacker at the time, but he came up to try to make the tackle, and T.O. straight armed him to the ground, and then left him down the sideline, and the angles of the DBs, which they thought they had angles on him to hit him out of bounds, the guy's speed and just strength just took over, and he hit it down that sideline for what amounted to be about a 55-yard touchdown. Okay. But again, it was only about a 5-yard pass from me. But it just showed like his physicality and what a difference maker he was on the field, how he could just straight arm a linebacker and put that guy to the ground, and then to outrun defensive backs. It showed what kind of special athlete he truly was.
Right, and Jeff, my last TL question, we want to get you out of here pretty quick. So Jeff Garcia, former NFL quarterback, joining us today on the Bandwagon. Jeff, 2002, the Sharpie touchdown. If I'm not mistaken, you threw that pass to T.O., right?
I did, in Seattle, yes.
Yeah. Did you have any idea that was happening, and can you give me kind of what was going through your mind when he pulled that Sharpie out?
To be honest with you, it got to a point where whenever I'd throw a touchdown pass to T.O., I was always that guy on the field that I get excited and I play with emotion. And when we score a touchdown, I'm down there to celebrate with the guy who scored, no matter how we scored. Well, with T.O., it got to a point where he really wouldn't acknowledge his teammates so much in the celebration. He kind of just did his own thing. And so I'd gotten to the point where I just really didn't pay much attention anymore to what was going on after he scored touchdowns. And I would just jog off the field and not really watch. And so it was after the fact. I had no idea what he had done. And it was after the fact that it was brought to my attention. And it might have happened on the video screen above where I actually noticed it. But I had no clue. I had no clue what he was doing. Just like I didn't have any clue the first time he ran to the star. And spiked the ball, because I was on the sideline already talking to our coaches and high-fiving guys on the sideline after that touchdown. I had no clue what he had done in the middle of the field, and it wasn't until later in the game when we scored late in the game against Dallas to really secure the win. Yeah. I was fired up. I was excited, and there was a touchdown pass to T.O. again. I went to high-five him, and the guy was running full speed and almost ran me over trying to get to the middle of the star again. And then I see the defensive back just chasing him. And I go, okay, this does not look good right now. I don't know what's going on, but this doesn't look good. And that's when I realized, well, there was stuff that went on earlier in the game that I had no clue about, and a lot of us didn't have any clue about because we weren't paying attention to what he was doing. Wow.
T.O. is the man. You can't even deny it. He is one heck of a.
He's got balls, man. He's got balls.
He does that.
To do that thing in Dallas, that's great.
So my last question about your 49er career is, there's two things we love on this show. It's confident answers and starting rivalries. And I just got to ask, is Jeff Garcia the greatest quarterback in 49ers history?
Well, yeah, I wish I could sit here and say that I was, but I know for a fact that I watched the greatest quarterback play the game, and he was my idol. And Joe Montana, there was nobody like that guy. And I was fortunate to watch him and Steve Young and really try to emulate my game after those guys. But like I said, Joe was something special. He was cool, calm, and collected, and just handled his business and was a champion. And I was fortunate to be able to watch him for a lot of years growing up, and really wanted to be like him. And I was fortunate enough to get to wear that same uniform as he did.
So let's move into this week. We want to get your picks on the divisional round of the playoffs. So we're going to move over. We're going to start in the AFC because you didn't spend a whole lot of time in the AFC. You spent most of your career in the NFC. So let's start with the Titans and the Patriots. The DeMarco Murray lists. Titans visiting the one-seeded Patriots. Who you got?
Yeah, they're without a doubt it's New England, and you have to give Tennessee a lot of credit for how they've bounced back the last couple weeks, beating Jacksonville, getting into the playoffs, and then going out and beating Kansas City out there in a tough environment. But nobody's stopping Tom Brady and the Patriots. I mean, they're just too good at this time of year to be denied, and Tennessee is not going to be able to do it.
And then you've got the Blake Bortles-led Jaguars with that amazing defense in Saxonville going to Pittsburgh. Who you got?
Yeah, I mean, we can look back and talk about what Jacksonville did to Pittsburgh earlier in the season. I think it'd be difficult to replicate that with a 5-interception day on Ben Roethlisberger. I think Pittsburgh is going to come out and be their true team, and it's going to be a tough-fought game. Hey, that Jacksonville defense is legitimate. I don't think they're going to have enough firepower on offense with Blake Bortles and that run game to really match points with Pittsburgh, and I just think it's going to be a close one. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring effort, but Pittsburgh is going to pull away in that one.
I want to move over to the NFC now, and I think this might be the most interesting game of the week. It might not be the best one, but I think it's definitely the most interesting one. It is the reigning NFC champion Atlanta Falcons, the 6th seed, going into Philadelphia to face your former team in the Eagles. Definitely an interesting one. Who are you taking out of that one?
Yeah, I'm a big Eagles fan, and love how they were playing with Carson Wentz, and now all of a sudden it's Nick Foles, and they just have not shown not just the ability the last couple weeks to put a plan together and to execute it, but they're lacking the confidence. And you see that in that team. And I watched the Rams play the Falcons this past Saturday night. I took my 2 oldest kids to that game, and that Atlanta defense was legit in that game. They played extremely well. And I know Matty Ice has struggled in Philadelphia, his hometown. He hasn't put together the great performances in Philly. Mm-hmm. And I hate to go against the Eagles, but I just think Atlanta right now, the way they finished off the season, the way they played in L.A., I think they're a tough team to contend with right now. They have a lot of pieces that are falling into place, and I think they're going to give Philadelphia a big-time run for their money this weekend.
And then lastly, you've got probably the best matchup this week. At least it's the one I'm most excited about. You got the New Orleans Saints going up against the Minnesota Vikings. That's going to be a good one. Who are you taking?
Yeah, I think that's going to be a great game. It's going to be a good one. I think Minnesota has a lot going for themselves. They played great football throughout the season. They've had that bye week. It's often tough for especially a team that hasn't been to the playoffs to come off of a week being off. They are at home, but gosh, how can you deny what Drew Brees and that New Orleans team has been doing this season? It's going to be a great football game. I'd like to say Minnesota's got the better defense and is going to pull them through, but I'm a big Drew Brees fan. I'm going to pull for New Orleans in the upset here.
Well, Jeff, we have so many more questions, but you've been so great with your time. Maybe we'll try to get you back on before you get to that Oakland sideline, maybe. But we do appreciate your time, Jeff. Thanks for coming on, and best of luck to you in your future if we don't speak to you, all right?
All right, guys. Hey, handle your business in school and be great, man. All the best to you guys.
Will do. Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate you.
Okay, bye.
We are back. Thanks again to Jeff Garcia for joining us on today's show. Great talk, great analysis, and even greater stories.
You know what? No, I'm gonna one-up you there. Great talk, great analysis, but an even better man.
That was adorable, actually.
Profoundly said, I believe, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, it was a fun interview. And he mentioned that he's going to get into broadcasting and possibly coaching. He'll probably be a coach before we talk to him the next time, because he should be.
Easily.
But
listen, there's 2 things, actually, I really wanted to talk to him about. I just realized. Number one, all right, I honestly think we should have asked him if he wanted to intern with us. He wanted to, get the ropes of broadcasting.
Ooh.
We should have asked him to come on the bandwagon, be our little assistant for a little while, and then maybe one of us will get hurt, kind of like Steve Young did, and he'll hop in, and then he'll take one of our spots, probably yours.
That's a good point. And then there was a question I think both of us wanted to ask that we weren't able to get in.
Yes. It was all about the Cleveland Browns, right?
Yes.
He played quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, and we didn't ask him about it.
Dude, yeah, we've never had a Cleveland quarterback on the show.
Never. Like, this was our first chance to say, why is it hell for quarterbacks in Cleveland? And we didn't ask him.
It's a very good point. It's a very fair
Unreal.
question. Yeah,
Well,
all the quarterbacks get sucked into a black hole or something because it's awful there.
Awful journalism on our part. Awful journalism.
You're poor. I wouldn't say
Poor.
awful, but poor.
Poor. Mediocre journalism on our part.
Correct, yes.
Yeah, okay. So we talked all about in the first half. We talked about these weird, funny, hilarious, fantastic college football names.
Ridiculous, yes.
You know, Mac Loudermilk, Tua Tagovialoa, all those fellas, Rodrigo Blankenship, and the rest of the crew. We talked about those guys. So what I decided was I compiled a list of 23 college football names, some real, some fake.
Ooh,
Now,
real or fake is the name
Real
of
or
the game.
fake? There you go. That's a very creative name on your part.
Thank you.
So I'm going to ask you all 23 college football names. You're going to tell me, simple, is it a real name or is it a fake name? You ready?
I'm ready.
Let's get it done.
John Doe Rollins.
I'm going to go real.
That's fake. Made it up.
Great start.
Jazz Peavy,
That's real. I've heard that.
Wisconsin wide receiver.
That's why I've heard that.
George Rushing.
I'm going to go fake.
He's real. He's also a Wisconsin wide receiver.
Glad I know that.
Tank Tankersley.
That's fake.
That is fake. Chad President.
That's real.
He's a Tulsa quarterback.
Okay.
Andre Whiteout.
That's fake.
That is fake. Look at you. Peyton Party.
Fake.
That is a Houston offensive lineman.
Oh, really? That's a good name.
Yeah. Maximilian Dollars.
Come on. That's just obviously fake.
He is it's fake. Linwood Crump.
That's real. You couldn't come up with that.
That's a Temple defensive back. Quade Weimerskirch.
All right, if he's real, that's the greatest name in college football. Well, that's fake.
That's a Georgia Tech running back.
What? What's his name?
Yep. Quade Weimerskirch.
That is fantastic.
Yep, that's a pretty good one. Hamp Cheevers.
Hamp Cheevers. That's fake.
Plays for Boston College.
Wow, I'm bad at this.
Wimpy Broadarm.
That's definitely fake.
That's fake.
Broad arm.
Timothy Punsalot.
Come on.
It's a real or fake?
It's fake.
Yeah, it's fake.
Punts a lot. Come on. You can do better than that.
Hassan Defense.
Ooh, this is a tough one. But I'm going to go with fake.
That's a Kansas cornerback.
That's weird. He plays defense. Like,
His
what if he would have played
name is
offense?
defense. Then he couldn't. At that point, with a name like that, you can't play offense.
I haven't guessed a real one in a while. We got to keep going.
Mac Hippenhammer.
Hippenhammer.
Mac Hippenhammer.
That's fake.
He's a Penn State wide receiver.
Damn it.
Mac Loudermilk.
That's real. Come on.
I just had to throw him in there.
Turn to the show.
Wonton Doobie.
Wonton Doobie. You can't even keep a straight face. That's fake.
Oh, man. Yeah, it's fake. Freedom Akinmolodin.
That's real. You can't even say his last name.
Yep, that's a Nebraska defensive lineman. Fafi Bazzi.
Wait, hold on.
Fafi Bazzi.
That's fake.
He's a Maryland defensive back.
Oh, what?
Fafi Bazzi.
Fafi Bazzi. All right.
Ooh. Briggs Bourgeois.
It's real.
He is a Southern Miss kicker. Squally Canada.
Squally Canada. That's fake.
He is a BYU running back.
What? Squally, Canada.
Squally, Canada. Woo. Hinkle Draftsberry.
Fake.
That's fake. And finally, Hinstrofe Bandwagon.
That's a UNC wideout.
Yes, that is a UNC wideout. Correct. That is fake.
So you got 15 out of 23 right.
Not bad.
Nope, not bad
It's
at
kind
all.
of like an F, but it's all right.
I mean, it's not an F. That's passing, right?
Yeah.
I don't know the percentage on that. I'm not a math person, but I mean, all I know is Squally Canada, Chad President, Jazz Peavy. They all salute you. You know what? You did.
Salute
You
back.
did,
Go
you did well.
Badgers.
You did well. Go Badgers. Go Pack. Go
Bucks.
Go Bucks.
Yeah.
Go all of them. All
Cool.
of them.
Cool. So let's jump in now to Suggestion Circle. And we talked about it a little bit with Jeff. And that would be the hiring of Jon Gruden over in Oakland. And during the introductory press conference on Tuesday, where Jon Gruden sat next to Mark Davis, the owner of the Oakland Raiders, I noticed something. Number one, they look a lot alike. And number two, Mark Davis has a ridiculous haircut. So my Suggestion Circle with an S. S-I-R-C-L-E. That's how you spell circle, by the way. Not really, but sort of. To Mr. Mark Davis, that would be please, for the love of God, get a flippin' haircut or a new one or a hairstyle. I don't care what you do. Change your hair because it is awful. Jon Gruden kind of has the same hair, but I like it. It's good on Gruden because that's what we expect out of the crazy man named Jon Gruden. So and maybe Gruden can slide you a couple bucks into his $100 million contract. I assume he probably could to get a flippin' haircut because it is gross and disgusting. You look like a dude on Dumb and Dumber. That's what he looks like. One of the characters from Dumb and Dumber with that frickin' bowl cut. Get a haircut.
Wow. You just took some mad shots at Mark Davis.
Did you see that hair?
I saw it. Wow. But I wasn't going to say all that.
Yeah.
Dang. Okay. Well, I'm gonna get a little more optimistic, a little more happy on my part. I'm gonna stick with college football, which is what I've been doing almost the entire show. You know, why not? This is our last time to be able to talk about it. I'm gonna milk it for all it's worth.
There you go.
I'm gonna Mac Loudermilk it for all it's worth.
Oh, hey.
So the UCF Knights, you know what? They're the national champions, right?
Well,
okay. Sorry, the Alabama Crimson Tide are technically the national champions, but we all know that on Monday night, Alabama and Georgia, they were just playing for second place. The University of Central Florida Knights are the national champions of college football. 13-0, they killed it. They beat Auburn, who was a former number one team in the nation. They killed it, right?
Yeah.
Amazing season. They've self-proclaimed national champions. So my suggestion circle, S-I-R-C-L-E, is that Alabama, and specifically Nick Saban, Tua Tagovialoa, and the rest of the crew, Jalen Hurts can also join in. He contributed to the victory a little bit.
not really, but yeah.
Yeah, you're right. They had 21 yards of the victory. They take a trip straight over to Orlando, Florida, and hand the national championship trophy to the UCF Knights. I want him to lay the trophy in Shaq Griffin's hand.
Singular.
Singular hand. And I want him to hold it up for the world to see because he is a national champion. Tua Tagovailoa is not.
Okay, so usually we flip-flop when we switch segments. We're going into our signature segment, our last segment of the show, jumping on a bandwagon. I want to stay with the UCF Knights and the Alabama Crimson Tide because I'm jumping on the bandwagon of advertisements, and a very simple name for once for me. However, so I'm just going to pour it out, let you know that UCF doesn't just want the trophy. They want Bama. 37 fans of the UCF Knights chipped in to raise $1,665 on a GoFundMe page, and that paid for a digital billboard in somewhere in Tuscaloosa. And it's a sign, right? You know, nice and big, right on the highway in Tuscaloosa. And it says on the left side, it's a page of Shaq celebrating, I believe it was a tackle or a sack against Auburn. And then on the right, black screen and white text on the top, it says, "Congratulations, Alabama!" exclamation point. And then underneath that, it says, "How about a home-and-home series with UCF?" And then on the bottom right, it says, "Created and paid for by UCF fans." So I'm jumping on the bandwagon of advertisements.
I love this. I love it, Alex. UCF has so much swagger. It is unreal. These guys are my favorite people of all time.
Yeah, they're great.
Favorite people. And, hey, you want to know something?
What's that?
Guess who plays UCF next year? Go Heels.
Oh.
In football, I'll be there. It's in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. I'm going to be front row with my UCF Knights National Champions t-shirt that I'm going to buy. I'm going to be front row.
You better get a selfie with my boy Mac.
Oh, you know. We're going to get it in studio. He's going to be a guest sitting right beside of me in studio. Promise you that. I'm going to get Mac on the program once again. So, over our little break, we had like a 10-day break. 10-day plus break from one another.
Yep.
I had a life change happen to me.
Oh, no.
Yeah. It's actually a very positive thing, though.
Oh, yay.
So, you know how some people get their master's degree, they get a PhD somewhere, they get pregnant, something like that.
Okay.
Well, over the break, I actually got ordained. I'm an ordained minister now.
Hold on. Can you say that one more time?
I'm an ordained minister. Victor Hensley IV, am an ordained minister. Yes, you heard that correctly. So thanks to oneminuteminister.com and the Universal Life Church, I am now an ordained minister. Therefore, Alex, whenever you and your significant other want to get married, call me, please. I will do the wedding free of charge just for you, and it will be it'll be an official, whatever religion you are, it'll be an official wedding.
Did you say the name of that website was oneminuteminister.com?
oneminuteminister.com.
You got ordained in 1 minute.
If you want to get ordained during the show right now, you can do it.
That can't be legal.
It is very legal. Dude, listen, I've got a certificate to prove it. They emailed me a credentials of ministry certificate, and I can order my official documents. Yeah, the best part of it is when I got ordained, they sent me an email that said, "You're #ordained."
Oh, they're so hip.
They're trying to get me to tweet about it or something.
Are you going to?
No, I should.
You should.
Me, who is not religious in the least bit, is an ordained minister.
That is really awesome.
So you should really be proud of me. And if you ever need anybody, if you ever need my services, you know what? For you, it's free of charge. For anybody else, I've got you.
Love it.
For just it'll be a small fee.
Yeah.
That's about it. Yeah. So you know what? Alex Strofe.
Yeah.
You may now kiss the bride.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. For Victor Hensley, the ordained minister in 1 minute that's somehow legal, you can find him on Twitter at FreeZeal33, FREZEAL33 on Twitter. My name is Alex Strofe, at Alex_Strofe on Twitter. Thanks again to Jeff Garcia. Don't forget you can connect with the show on Twitter using #BandwagonPod. You can find Jeff on Twitter at Jeff Garcia JGFA. That's Jeff Garcia JGFA on Twitter. Vic?
Yes, sir. Hey, and y'all, let me throw some credit out real quick to my man Alex Strofe that designed a beautiful website, thebandwagonpod.com. Go check it out.
It's live. That's right. Don't forget
live.
it.
Officially.
There we go.
New year, new us.
And a new logo.
No, everything's
I forgot
changing.
This is our
for
first
us.
episode with the new logo.
Wow.
This is big stuff.
This is a new brand. Everything's,
hey,
wow.
You may kiss the bride, Vic.
Mwah!
Peace.
Love y'all.